We'd like to thank Metro Blooms for all the amazing work they do with area residents, businesses, churches, and throughout our public spaces. And they make Twin Cities beautiful while actively stewarding our air, soil, and water through rain gardens and other conservation innovations. My name is Mark Peddlety, and I've had the pleasure of witnessing the magic of Metro Blooms for 2 decades now, as have my bandmates in the Hypoxic Punks, Robert Pock and Tim Gustafson, who wrote this song that you're about to hear. We have the good fortune this evening to hear from a truly amazing group based here in the Twin Cities, NUNNABOVE. NUNNABOVE has earned a national reputation through exceptional vocal and instrumental artistry. Check out their music at nunnabove.com. You can also hear NUNNABOVE's incredible performance of Marvin Gaye's Mercy, Mercy Me, The Ecology in Ojibwe Park of Woodbury, as featured in the Together Alone project at togetheralonemusic.net. And now, Cadence, Matty, Bennett, and Wisdom Nunn, known together as NUNNABOVE, will kick things off with their performance of What We Do.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us and adding another Zoom meeting to your calendar. It was our hope tonight that we would all be meeting in person, but as it is, we really appreciate your joining us. And adding and giving us 1 hour of your time this evening. And we have tried to make it worth your while. So I'd like to thank NUNNABOVE for lending their talents and their beautiful voices to that effort. Tonight, we are going to share with you some of the firsthand accounts from the people who are engaged with us in this effort. And we hope you will join us as we continue to grow, bloom, and inspire a new generation of environmental leaders who are making change in their yard and in their community. I've been with Metro Bloom since 2007, when I was honored to take the reins from a group of very dedicated individuals, dedicated and hardworking individuals who are carrying the Minneapolis Garden Awards program to help heal, beautify the urban environment.
Never mind.
Oh, wait a minute, I want to mute me.
I can hear the sound through the computer too.
And Bob is one of those. Thank you, Bob, for joining us. We still have a great board, including Bob, our staff, and our partners who share this space with us, and who have continued to examine our impact, to evolve and respond to the changing times, and to clarify and advance our mission. And we've had some incredible successes along the way. Since 2007, more than 11,000 individuals have attended our rain garden workshop program, learn our do-it-yourself approach to installing rain gardens planted with Minnesota natives. And we've organized 72 neighborhood-wide projects, as well as working with affordable housing communities, schools, churches, and commercial projects to install more than 1,700 gardens. And last year alone, those rain gardens that we installed captured an estimated 5 million gallons of stormwater runoff, helping to clean and cool the water of our lakes and rivers. And they also provide habitat for pollinators and songbirds and other wildlife, including the Minnesota state bee, the rusty patch bumblebee. As we look to emerge from this global pandemic, there's a call for us to create something new. A new society that sees and values workers as whole people, as whole persons, rather than just a worker. And a society that is ready to make real change to address the ecological systems collapse and the systemic inequity that some of us are experiencing. At Metro Blooms, we've been engaging communities and creating a movement of people who are taking action in their yard and creating solutions to help heal our urban environment. I'm so proud of our board at our last meeting, who took the next step to help shift the power and build a board where the majority will be people of color who are most impacted by climate change. Coming up, you're going to hear stories from some of those in our community who are looking ahead with us and working to create the kind of place where we can all thrive, creating a sanctuary for ourselves and for our children. And I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Becky. We've put together a short video so you can see what this looks like as we implement our vision.
Metro Blooms partners with communities to create resilient landscapes and foster clean watersheds, embracing the values of equity and inclusion to solve environmental challenges.
hope you enjoyed that quick snapshot of our work. We're really going to dig in now. We're going to hear from Danyelle O'Hara with the Mortenson Family Foundation. Mortenson has been supporting Metro Blooms for the last 3 years in our work in the Bassett Creek watershed of near North Minneapolis, supporting ecosystem services and community building and resilience there. And Danyelle has been with the Mortenson Family Foundation as a community relationship officer for the last 2 years. She came to Mortenson with a background in working at the intersection of community development and environmental conservation, specifically with Black, Indigenous, and communities of color. So thank you so much for being here, Danyelle. We look forward to hearing from you.
Just unmute myself, and thank you, Laura, for the introduction, and thank you, Metro Blooms, for inviting me to be with you this evening. I'm really enjoying the beautiful music and the videos so far and looking forward to more. Mortenson Family Foundation is really pleased to support your work, and I'm happy to add my voice to that support. One of the things Laura asked me to talk about is how racial injustices cross into environmental work. I can only approach this topic from my own experience, so I'll speak to you from that perspective. In the 90s, I began working with Southern Black landowners and farmers fighting to maintain ownership of their land. We called it the land loss, sometimes the land retention or land tenure movement back then. Now it's commonly known as land justice. Whatever it's called, it's a movement Black, Brown, and Indigenous folks have been involved in for decades and decades, even centuries in the United States and globally. I felt like the tools and resources used in environmental and land conservation, easements, federal dollars, and technical assistance could be useful in the land movement. So I appealed to environmental and conservation organizations for support. I almost always bumped up against common sense reminders that Black folks don't care about the environment. What I was doing was community development or rural development work, not conservation or environmental work. This is a refrain I've heard over and over again in various parts of the environmental sector. In the context of parks, protected areas, and outdoor recreation, for example, soon after the National Park System had its 100th anniversary in 2016, they started looking at the demographics of visitation in their 419 national parks. The data showed it's overwhelmingly white, 77% white, when the national population is 42% Black, Indigenous, and people of color. For years, the explanation is the same one that was given to me when I asked for conservation or environmental dollars to support Black land work. Black, Brown, and Indigenous folks aren't interested in the outdoors and national parks. Well, NPS has been doing some soul searching over the past few years and learning about the racist policies, practices, and grounding that have effectively kept BIPOC visitorship so low over the years. These national parks were carved out in large part as sanctuaries for white people to retreat from what they considered the growing scourge of urbanization. Native Americans were fought off of their sacred tribal land so that white men could recreate, hike, hunt, and fish in these places at their leisure. Segregation was upheld vigorously in the first half of the 20th century in many parks and kept Blacks and others from visiting. So, how do racial injustices cross into environmental work? In a lot of ways, racial injustices have framed conventional environmental work to date. Because of this frame, so many excellent opportunities for lifting up, supporting, improving, and learning from the incredible breadth of communities and experiences across our country have been missed. At Mortenson Family Foundation, we've been in a community process this year of interrogating our environmental guidelines, the language we use, the focus we have, to understand if they are aligned with our racial equity commitments. Until now, our guidelines were framed through a traditional environmental lens. We focused on water quality, worked at a watershed scale, and promoted biodiversity and habitat. This is critical work and work that must be done by and on behalf of all of our communities. But the language we use to describe it is spoken by a particular sector to a particular audience, all of which is predominantly white. We've learned at Mortenson Family Foundation that with the shift in the language and/or the types of audiences targeted, we can connect with so many others doing exactly this work, water quality, watershed protection, etc., but just don't call it that. Many folks doing this kind of work, but who don't talk about it in this dominant way, have not made it to our doors, resulting in a missed opportunity on our part to have our environmental programs serving the whole state, reflective of our racial equity commitments and doing effective work that is grounded in and serving communities. Metro Blooms has been an exception. Metro Blooms has always focused on both ecosystem health and healthy communities. They are unique in their grounding with the community and the way in which they build out their programs collaboratively. Metro Blooms could do their work on rain gardens, wetland restoration, and boulevard swells the way many other environmental organizations have done restoration work, with a purely scientific focus, determining that if it's good for the ecosystem, they've done their work. But Metro Blooms has long accounted for the fact that ecosystems include community. They work in, engage with, and design with communities, including Black, Indigenous, and communities of color. These actions are unique. It's exciting that Metro Blooms is in a conversation about going the next step of building out their board in ways that reflect the communities they serve. This is important modeling for the rest of the sector. Historically, Mortenson Family Foundation has focused on our what, which is watershed quality. We knew there was an importance to how the work is done, and we always emphasize access and collaboration with communities. But until recently, we have not seen it as integral to our environmental work. With our work over the past year, the what is taking no less priority, but we are shifting to balance it with the how. Metro Blooms, along with others, has taught us that the ecosystem can contain us all and that we can address the what and how we are together. Metro Blooms and others have taught us that we can hold both things in what we support. We're happy to say that we're seeing a lot of the philanthropic field taking a hard look at the language they use, the practices they have, and the communities they fund through a racial equity lens. It's a good time, and it's past time for philanthropy to change, to begin closing this $2.7 billion funding gap between white-led and BIPOC-led environmental organizations. It's encouraging that philanthropy is working hard to shift, but we can't wait for philanthropy. It takes more time to shift the course of philanthropy in other institutions than that of individuals who can make individual actions. It's critical that you as individuals support Metro Bloom's work here and now. Philanthropy is working towards a shift, but it's not going to happen overnight. You all as individuals can do it today. Mortenson believes in and supports this work, but that doesn't alleviate the need for individuals to invest in this work too, to expand the community supporting this work. We need a broad base of voices to be talking about and making change in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danyelle. Yeah. It's lovely to hear from you, and thank you for sharing your great words of wisdom with us all tonight. Your guidance really is inspirational as we challenge ourselves and our organizations and our communities, our partnerships to be more equitable in this work. And while our foundation support is so integral to our success, so are our partnerships with local governments. And the other person we have here to share their story tonight is Dan Shaw. He's here from the Minnesota Board of Water and Soil Resources, and he is a longtime supporter and friend of Metro Blooms. And he's going to speak to the state's exciting new Lawns to Legumes program, which is a nationally recognized program. It's very exciting, and their partnership with Metro Blooms.
Thank you, Laura. It's great to be with all of you tonight. I've been involved with Metro Blooms for many years now. It's a great organization, and I want to say a few words about the importance of the work of Metro Blooms to state agencies. I work for the Minnesota Board of Water and Soil Resources, a state agency, and we've been collaborating on supporting residents across the state through the Lawns to Legumes program. As an ecologist, I've been seeing our ecological challenges firsthand. Definitely with climate change, we see a lot of impacts across our landscapes, impaired waters, loss of plant diversity, pollinators, and bird populations. So as ecologists, we're definitely concerned about these issues, and these all have impacts to vulnerable populations. We found that we're most effective at addressing these concerns when we take on these larger initiatives and partnerships, and that we ensure that there's equitable engagement for Minnesota residents across the whole state. As Laura mentioned, in 2019, we started the Lawns of Legumes program with the goal of achieving large-scale change for at-risk pollinators through engaging residents across the state. We wanted every resident across the state to have an opportunity to apply for this program, which was a really big undertaking. We don't know of any examples around the country that involve so many, trying to involve so many residents across the whole state. We definitely received a lot of attention from other states who are interested in this model. Fortunately, we're able to partner with Metro Blooms and the Blue Thumb Partnership on this program to help run the individual support part of the program. And this part of the program includes workshops, coaching, and cost share funding. Metro Blooms was really the one group that we thought of that could effectively partner with us on this effort. They had done similar programs in the past with a lot of success, and their focus on equity and their knowledgeable and passionate staff made them a really good fit to partner with the state on the Lawns of Legumes program. We've been fortunate to work with this organization to take on these really big challenges, and this led to us receiving an Environmental Initiative Award for the Lawns of Legumes program for large-scale sustainability impacts this past year. We've also had about 175,000 people visiting our websites for the program. There's been around 130 articles written about the program, including features in Oprah Magazine, Mother Earth News, and the Weather Channel. So fortunately, we've been receiving we have a lot of momentum with this program. We've received phase 2 funding for the program, and we're looking forward to continuing our work with Metro Blooms. And I appreciate this opportunity to talk about our collaboration with Metro Blooms tonight, and be able to stress the importance of their work across Minnesota and what has really become a national model for how to work with residents across an entire state. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. It's great to hear. We partner with lots of local governments, and it's so great to hear from you and hear that support. Thank you for showing up to support our work again. And we really couldn't ask for better partners as we strive for environmental and community resilience. And earlier, Becky spoke to our Healing Roots project and how we're highlighting and amplifying our community partners, particularly those from communities of color where environmental degradation has taken a disproportionate toll. So we'll wrap up our videos with 2 stories tonight. One is from Riverside Plaza, where we've been working for the last 3 years with residents and property management. And one is from Masjid in North Minneapolis, which was filmed by our partners, Blackbird Revolt and the Nature Conservancy. And at Masjid the congregation is creating an eco-mosque that centers environmental justice. And I hope you all learn a bit more about our work through these videos and the communities that we partner with and their stories and how this work really impacts their lives.
agagaarka degamada ubaxyada ka soo baxay aragtida qurxoon indhaha ku doogsada agagaarka degamada ubaxyada ka soo baxay haddaad eegta dhinacyada intuu cayn bacan yahay naamuhu iskaari.
I'm Eddie, also Namorado, and
my name is Wali Hassan.
Okay, yeah, and we're here today to talk about the environment and our relationship to it, where we fit in and everything. If you could describe a place which makes you feel most at home, you feel most comfortable.
Right now is Minnesota, the state of 10,000 lakes.
Do you feel that your relationship with the environment has changed since you came here?
Yeah, I came from Somalia, and I was born in a small village, which is a farm state. People where I came from, they are really attached to the earth and the environment. They take care of the land and make sure that it's not the rivers are not polluted. So the river is part of them. The environment is part of them, of their life. It has changed in a good way and in a bad way. But in the United States, they're trying their best to take care of the the environment. But there is a lot of things that is changing here, that where people are not taking care of the environment. They are littering and they're using a lot of things. And at the same time, they are trying to educate them, to make clean water and clean environment.
Yeah, what are the biggest challenges your community faces when it comes to the environment?
Educating, the community and the residents how to take care of the environment and where they live, and make beautification, doing gardening, doing all kind of, things to clean their environment. It depends on the economic, stage or economic situation that you are. If in urban, societies where the people are, poor, the means of taking care of it is less than the places where the rich people live, because they get more service and they're able to provide it, by the state or whatever the budget sets. But these days, what's happening is that more urban, they are building more to the farm areas, whether you are here or whether you're back home. So life is changing, as in everywhere. The world is becoming one. So whatever they learn from here, they will do it over there. So it's a changing world.
Water is the new equity, and I think water equity becomes extremely important in times like this. I am a longtime Northside resident for 35 years, and I'm a member here of Masjid for the past 21 years. I formerly worked as the lead person for the garden project that I ran for 3 years, where we grew over 136 plants annually to give out to our community members, as well as to use for our food programs. And so in that, I also noticed the flooding, and the impact it was having on the mosque. And so I got involved with trying to help provide solutions. So we learned that the parking lot is like 6 feet higher than the door, and most of the water from the rain was coming in right on the parking lot and just rushing down. It took a lot of grant writing, it took a lot of conversations. I was a project lead in convening conversations between the Masjid leadership, the government and nonprofit agencies, as well as the community.
This project has on site, it has 12 separate small rain gardens. So as you look around the site, you'll see rain gardens along the parking lot and the sidewalk. And then you'll also see a bioswale coming from the building, and that conveys water into a series of rain gardens on the side of this plaza. This plaza also has permeable pavement, so there are 2 feet of crushed rock that all the water filters into the rock and filters into the ground. So we are treating over 85% of the stormwater that hits the surface and otherwise would have run off into Lindale Avenue.
So we went a step further than, making it just about stormwater management. We took it a step further to become a destination place known for environmental justice in North Minneapolis, but also engagement space for the Black community and also the Muslim community.
As a landscape architect, and why I do the work that I do, it's not necessarily about creating beautiful places and meaningful spaces. It's the fact that we are all a product of our environment. All living beings need clean water and clean air to survive. That's primary, fundamental. Our exposure to outdoor spaces, to nature, at any level improves our well-being. Let's face it, we live in a stressful world, in a stressful man-made world of concrete and steel. So if we can improve the quality of our environment through green infrastructure, stormwater management, creating biodiverse habitats, it's going to improve our quality of life. And that's what this is all about.
We've got to make a difference in how this shows up. And we hope to inspire other faith-based leaders and other property owners to do the same. That would extend to residents having more safe, habitable zones that they can not only live in, but thrive in. And it's good to teach our children, right, about, you know, how the environment, not only to take care of the environment, but how the environment can also take care of you.
During that time was a petty misdemeanor for unlawful vehicle storage.
I hope you enjoyed those videos. I'm going to pass it off to Steph now on our fundraising committee, and she's going to wrap us up.
Thank you, Laura. Hi, everyone. My name is Steph Jacobs, and I'd like to add my welcome and thanks to you all for being here with us this evening. So I first learned about Metro Blooms just walking through my neighborhood, and I'd see my neighbors with these beautiful yards with flowers and bees and butterflies and birds. And 9 times out of 10, there was a Metro Blooms sign in the yard. And so I took some workshops, I had a consultation, had one of the great staff members take a look at my yard to bring a little bit of that beauty to my corner of the world. And then I learned more about Metro Blooms. I learned more about the work that they're doing, all of the amazing things that we saw in these videos tonight. And so that's what inspired me to invest my time as a board member and to invest my money as a donor. So it's a continuing privilege for me to support Metro Blooms in the great work they do year after year. When you came here today, most of you didn't know exactly what we were going to be asking you in terms of financial support. You probably came here today because a friend invited you, or you're already familiar with our organization. But now that you've heard Metro Blooms' story and heard from some of the wonderful community members we partner with, it's my privilege to ask you to make a financial investment in our ongoing success. This is not just an investment in Metro Blooms. It's an investment in our earth, our pollinators, our shared water, our communities. I believe it's one of the most important investments any of us can make. I want to call out folks who've made early donations. So Laura has been putting the link in the chat, and I'm just going to take a quick peek here where we're at. We're so close to have already raised $10,000 tonight, which is amazing. And so, which is incredible. We have another special challenge gift from board members of our board of directors. When we reach $17,000, we'll have the final $3,000 committed to get us to our final goal. The information for how to make a donation is on the screen, and you can text or you can click on the link that's in the chat. If you're ready to invest but would prefer to make a donation in another way, by check or perhaps through qualified charitable donation, you can type that pledge privately in the chat to Laura Scholl, the host, and we'll make sure that it's added to support raised tonight. Laura will follow up with you regarding those pledges. Your investment has such a great impact in our communities. Earlier this month, our staff were out at Autumn Ridge Apartments planting trees. You saw some photos from Autumn Ridge during our first video, but I want to share a comment from a resident there about how we approach our work. And this is their quote: "We're so glad you can pay us to do this work rather than having some contractor who doesn't live here. We can use the money and you're giving us an opportunity to earn it." Every day through our projects, we're living our commitment to environmental resilience and justice. If you've been inspired by what you've seen today, I ask you to join me by investing in Metro Bloom's work. Here are some examples of how your investment makes an impact. $1,000 supports a young adult to attend our Sustainable Land Care Training Academy, paying their stipend, providing safe work equipment, and connecting them to a next career step or education pathway. $500 allows us to hire 4 residents from an affordable housing community to work alongside our crew to plant trees or install rain gardens. $300 covers the cost share for residents who aren't able to meet the financial cost share to install a rain garden with pollinator-friendly plants. $150 covers the cost of pollinator-friendly trees that cools our landscape, creates food and homes for pollinators, and cleans our air. $60 provides scholarships for 4 residents to attend a resilient yard workshop, learning how to do it themselves. We truly appreciate your support at whatever level you can provide tonight. So now we're actually going to head back into our breakout rooms for a chance to reconnect about what you heard tonight, what inspires you about this work. Please continue to make your donations if you haven't yet, and we're going to pull everybody back together for a final send-off at 6:30. So enjoy your breakout rooms.